Hello everyone and welcome back to another adventure in Coriolis, and today I wanted to break down my top 5 favorite Caribbean ports to sail to on a cruise. My number 5 pick is San Juan, Puerto Rico. San Juan is a great port to sail into. If you sail Carnival and I think maybe even Royal Caribbean, they sail into Old San Juan when they're visiting San Juan as a port of call. And Old San Juan is beautiful. The architecture there is just stunning to see. There's multicolored buildings there. There's cobblestone streets. There are forts. There are large iguanas. So there are plenty of things to see just by getting off the ship and walking around in San Juan. However, there are also some pretty cool things that you can take a tour to see. Now, of course, there's plenty of beaches that you can visit, but there also is the Bacardi rum factory that you can take a tour of, and I think tastings and things like that. In addition to El Yunque rainforest. Now, this is the largest tropical rainforest in the United States, so that's pretty amazing to see. I went a few years ago and absolutely loved it. So if you have the option to visit San Juan, I highly suggest it. It's a great port to visit. It's also a great port to sail from. Carnival and a lot of the cruise lines do offer cruises that leave and depart out of San Juan, so check those out. Coming in at number 4 is the island of St. Martin. St. Martin is just an amazing place. It's half of the island is Dutch and half of the island is French. It's just a stunning, beautiful island to visit. You can go around to all the resorts and the little bakeries on the French side, and then over on the Dutch side you have the airport over that's just right on the beach. The runway, the very end of the runway actually is right on the beach, so it's pretty cool to see those large jets come in just right overhead. There's a bar there, you can grab some drinks and sit out and watch the jets come in. There's a lot of tours that you can take, a lot of different water activities you can do in St. Martin, but I like to just go on a tour that you can see the whole island because it's a very beautiful island. Very small island. It's amazing that 2 countries can inhabit one island so peacefully, but St. Martin is the place where they do it. So if you have the option of visiting St. Martin on your cruise, I highly recommend it. Coming in at number 3 for me on my list of my favorite Caribbean ports to visit on a cruise is the island of St. Lucia. Now, St. Lucia is a rare port of call. There's only certain specific cruisings or maybe one of the Carnival Journey sailings that actually visit this island, but it is a gorgeous island. Where the ship docks, there isn't a lot to see, so you definitely want to get out on a tour and go and visit the many different areas of the island, primarily the southern portion of the island, because that's where you're going to find the Grand Pitons. These are amazing to see. I went on a tour when I was there that took us to a resort that we were able to get out on a beach. We had to go by this tiny boat to get out to the beach, but it was this private resort. We got to hang out between the Grand Pitons on a private beach. It was amazing. Highly recommend. Nearby there's an old volcano, and there's actually sort of an ash volcanic bath that you can get in, and that was pretty neat and weird experience all at the same time. The folks have very polarizing opinions of St. Lucia, but personally I loved it and I highly recommend it. That's why it's number 3 on my list. Coming in at number 2 on my list of ports to visit is Half Moon Cay in the Bahamas. Now, this is Carnival Corporation's private island in the Bahamas, but it is an amazing place to visit. I took my first visit there just a couple months ago after hearing for a couple of years just how great it was, and I was not disappointed. This island is stunning. In addition to the fabulous beaches and the just stunningly blue water, Carnival has incorporated a lot of different walking trails, a lot of activities to do there on the island, since they do own most of the island. There's volleyball nets, there's playground for the kids. There's a couple of different bars there. You can rent out these little huts for the day as excursions. And then also they feature an island barbecue for lunch, which is included in the cost of your cruise. Now, Half Moon Cay is a tender port, meaning that you will have to get off of the larger cruise ship onto a smaller boat and then be driven over to the island itself. But you can get some really good shots, really good pictures and video on the ride over. So if you have the opportunity to visit Half Moon Cay, definitely do it. In fact, if I were you, I would seek out an itinerary that visited Half Moon Cay and book that immediately, because this is a great place to visit. Coming in at number 1 on my list of top 5 favorite Caribbean ports to visit is the island of Aruba. I visited Aruba a few years ago and have ever since I left the island, wanted to go back. It's such a weird island after going to the majority of the Caribbean islands, to then go to one that's actually a desert island. I mean, the landscape and topography of Aruba is just amazing. It really feels like you're out in the middle of the desert. When I was there, I did a Jeep tour, a Jeep excursion tour, so shared a Jeep with a few other people, but it was actually a caravan of Jeeps and the larger group of us that were on this tour. And we got out, did some off-roading out in the desert right alongside the beach. We got to visit a lighthouse. We got to visit a privately owned farm and have lunch there at a restaurant that, you know, had fresh food from the farm served. So a very great experience in Aruba. Ended the tour on the south portion of the island at Baby Beach, where from that location you could look 12 miles across the ocean and see Venezuela. So it's so cool that you're actually on the South American continent when you're in Aruba. Can't wait to go back. Definitely check out a cruise that features Aruba and visit, because I'm sure you'll love it. In addition to being a popular cruise destination, it's also all-inclusive resort intensive. There's so many all-inclusive resorts there. In fact, a lot of the people on my excursion were staying in all-inclusive resorts. So check it out, whether you go by cruise or whether you go by plane. Aruba's not to be missed. So guys, thank you for watching this video of my top 5 favorite Caribbean ports to call on. I hope that you learned some things, and I hope that you are able to visit one of these exciting ports on your next cruise.